Hi, everybody. Today we've got a hypothetical 2024 matchup. This time we're going to do Joe Manchin for the Democrats and Susan Collins for the Republicans. And this was suggested to me a long time ago in the comments. So let's squeeze this one in and see what we've got. So this time we've got two U.S. senators, West Virginia and Maine. And it seems like they're both going to be considered pro-establishment or pro-corporate, and they're both going to struggle with certain portions of their base. Progressives are going to have zero interest in Manchin. Even a lot of regular Democrats might be sick and tired of him at this point. Susan Collins is going to struggle with the Trump base. I don't think she's as overtly anti-Trump as some others, but she is going to lose some of the Trump base, that's for sure. So this is pretty much however you want to look at it. Of course, everything else matters, like the running mate and the national environment, but I do think both of them are going to lose a good portion of the voters they need. So a lot of it is going to come down to moderates, suburban voters. So once you even everything out, I do see most of the states narrowing in their margins. The dark red and the dark blue states are going to get a little bit closer. At least that's how I saw it going at this point. So let's go through the states. We'll talk a little bit more about it at the end. We'll start in Alaska, and Susan Collins to me seems similar to Lisa Murkowski, but Joe Manchin being a little bit more moderate is going to narrow the margin here just enough to get it down to a likely for Collins. Hawaii is safe for Manchin. Back up to the northwest, we've got Washington. That's going to just stay safe for Manchin. Oregon, on the other hand, is just barely going to get down to about 9.8 and go likely for Manchin. California is safe for Manchin. Next door, Nevada is going to be low single digits, leans for Manchin. Idaho and Utah still safe for Collins. Down at the border in Arizona, this former red state is not a big fan of the Trump brand. So Collins here should do a little bit better with Maricopa County voters. But there might be enough to just vote for Manchin even as it is. So I think it would be close, but I have it as a tilt for Collins. Up to Montana, this I think would also get down to just barely under 10 points and go likely for Collins. Wyoming safe for Collins. Colorado likely for Manchin. And New Mexico mid-single digits, close to leans, but still likely for Manchin. North and South Dakota safe for Collins. Nebraska at large safe for Collins. The 2nd district very close. This is the Don Bacon district, and I really think it could go either way. If there's a Republican here that could win it back, that might be Collins. So I do have it going to her by a narrow tilt margin. Kansas over 9.5, but just under 10, likely for Collins. Oklahoma safe for Collins. Texas is going to get a little bit more narrow. It's going to be about 4.8, and that's going to be leans for Collins. Minnesota also going to get a little bit more narrow, and it's going to get down to leans for Manchin. Iowa just down under 5, and it's going to be leans for Collins. Missouri just under 10, likely for Collins. Arkansas, Louisiana, red states safe for Collins. Back up to Wisconsin, it's going to be close. Manchin is going to be weaker in Dane County, but I think Collins is not going to fire up enough of the Trump base here. It's going to narrowly go to Manchin by a tilt. Illinois, very low double digits, but safe for Manchin. Michigan, low single digits, leans for Manchin. Indiana, still over 10, safe for Collins. Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, still too red, safe for Collins. Florida is going to get down to leans for Collins. Georgia is going to be similar to Arizona. The Atlanta suburbs are going to come back just enough for Collins. She is going to win the state by a tilt margin. Next door in South Carolina, the margin here back in 2020 might not be as wide as people think. It was under 12 points. So I think in this matchup, Manchin's going to be able to do at least 1 or 2 points better, and that is going to take it down to likely for Collins. Next in North Carolina, it's going to be close. Again, I think it could go either way. Eventually, I went with a tilt for Collins. Next, let's jump up to Ohio. This one is also going to get a little bit more narrow, but it's just too red. It's going to be leans for Collins. How about Manchin's home state of West Virginia? A couple decades ago, Manchin would have won this easily, but at this point in time, even giving him a significant home state bounce, I have to say the partisan lead of the state is going to be just too much, and it's still going to be double digits and safe for Collins. Right after that, let's go to Susan Collins' home state of Maine. I think she would do better than just about any other Republican here. So in the very blue 1st district, just like Manchin, she's going to get a nice bounce. It's still going to go to Manchin, but it is going to get down to high single digits and go likely for Manchin. The 2nd district easily safe for Collins. The state at large is going to be about 4.5 to 5 points, and it's actually going to go to Collins by a lean margin. Next door in New Hampshire, Collins being from a neighboring state could help her just a little bit here. As with many of these other states, you could make a case either way, but for my map, this is narrowly going to go to Collins by a tilt margin. Now we've got the blue states, and those are going to be Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. The margins are going to get narrower. A state like New Jersey gets close to getting down to likely, but it's just not quite there. Next, we've got Pennsylvania. The state borders West Virginia. Maybe that helps Manchin very slightly. He's going to do better in the western part of the state with some of those Trump voters. Collins is going to offset that a little bit in the Philadelphia suburbs. Indiana Again, Manchin's going to get it by a 1 to 3 point lean margin. Last state is Virginia, and that's going to get closer, but it's going to go leans for Manchin. So the final total is actually a tie at 269 each. And I didn't plan it like that, it just ended up that way, but maybe it's fitting given the two candidates this time. Both of their approval ratings are going to be low. If you're going to be that unpopular in your own state, it's not going to translate well into others. But with Collins, for example, we did see her have pretty bad approvals back in 2020 for her re-election. She completely defied the polls and won re-election comfortably. So there's a lot of different things you could focus on, and it's not hard to have a different map than this. I would probably make some changes of my own if I did this again in another week or two. It's not really about being completely locked in. It's mostly to fill out a map and spark some conversation. It's interesting to hear other takes. I can imagine a map where Manchin pulls it out, or a map where Collins gets the job done. I got a lot of ratings here as a tilt, so it's really anybody's guess. But pretty much every state on this map is much more narrow. I try to keep it as consistent as I can for the things I wanted to focus on. So it's never going to be perfect, but eventually you've got to come up with something. So this is the map that I settled on. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this matchup? Do you have something close to this, or did you go in a completely different direction? Let me know what you think down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.